What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. YG was just detained during a search connected to Drakeo The Ruler's homicide. And the wildest part is that he had just put out a song talking about the very case people are asking questions about.
The murder of a rapper is unsolved this evening, but investigators appear to be making progress in the investigation. Fox 11's Gina Silva tells us about the search warrant tied to the murder of Drakeo The Ruler.
Years of rumors surrounding the murder of fellow rapper Drakeo The Ruler. Now, CHP investigators are once again turning their attention to YG, whose real name is Keenan DeQuan Ray Jackson. They served a search warrant at a Burbank recording studio tied to the rapper as part of the unsolved murder investigation into Drakeo The Ruler, whose real name was Daryl Wayne Caldwell. TMZ captured these images of YG being detained and questioned early Thursday morning as CHP, with assistance from Burbank police, carried out the search warrant.
Doesn't mean YG is guilty. The police are searching for evidence of a homicide.
Criminal defense attorney Dimitri Gorin, who is not connected to this case, says investigators will be looking for cell phones, computers, text messages, or other evidence they believe could help advance the nearly 5-year-old homicide investigation. But Gorin says a search warrant is not the same as an arrest, and YG has not been charged. The investigation goes back to December 2021, when Drakeo The Ruler was stabbed to death backstage at a Los Angeles music festival. The two rappers had been beefing for years, so almost immediately, people started wondering if YG had anything to do with the killing. And because investigators often look into a rapper's music for clues, Gorin says they will be listening to YG's lyrics.
But in looking at the lyrics, YG is saying, look, I'm not guilty. I didn't do this. I haven't been charged. And if I have been arrested and charged, I would be, quote unquote, in prison on the rack. So looking at the lyrics, he's not incriminating himself. He's actually saying, look, I didn't do this crime.
Search warrant puts YG back into the center of a murder case that has followed him for years.
YG's presumed innocent at this point. He has not been arrested and charged. And so the public should keep that in mind before they draw conclusions that he did something really horrible.
Gina Silva, Fox 11.
Let's be clear from the start. YG has not been charged with Drakeo The Ruler's death. He was detained, questioned, and released. That matters because we're not here to convict the man on the internet, but we are absolutely here to talk about why this story got hot again. When law enforcement serves a search warrant years after a death like this, people are going to pay attention. When that search is connected to a rapper who already had public beef with the victim, people are going to pay closer attention. And when that same rapper has a new song that are addressing the allegations, people are going to listen to every word differently. That is where YG put himself in a bad spot. Not because a song proves anything, but because when your name is still floating around the open investigation, talking greasy about the case on record is corny and dangerous. It don't make you look harder. It makes it look like you are still performing for the same crowd that helped turn this whole thing into internet street theater. And that's what bothers me about it. Drakeo ain't here to respond. His family is still living with his loss. So when YG gets on the record and starts talking about what people did say and what they didn't say, that ain't just music anymore. That is a man stepping back into a room that already has blood on the floor.
Hey, gang. Hey, I almost ain't make it to this motherfucker today.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, look.
I almost ain't make it, but I'm in this motherfucker.
Hey, look. I woke up. The motherfucking TMZ said, I said, oh, blood. No.
Chin out, chest out, nigga. What's that?
I get blood immediately. Blood said, hey.
This is where the timing looks crazy. YG was supposed to be in a West Coast celebration moment. He had the verses with Gang. He had new music out. He had the whole Compton Forever energy around him. Then hours before the show, law enforcement pulls up in the Drakeo investigation. That is a completely different kind of headline. And this is where the street image becomes a trap. YG has been successful long enough to not need to keep proving he is from where he's from. The music already did that. The history already did that. The brand already did that. But he keeps moving like he has to keep reintroducing the gang side of him to the public. And when an open homicide investigation is still attached to your name, that is not a smart move. That is a liability. That is where I think a lot of y'all rappers get stuck. The character that made them famous becomes the only voice they know how to use. So even when the situation calls for silence, they want to rap. Even when the situation calls for distance, they want to talk. Even when the situation calls for maturity, they double down on the same energy that made people look at them sideways in the first place. That is why We Know the Truth hits different. YG may think he's clearing his name, but when police are still active around the case, that song can sound less like closure and more like a man trying to control the narrative. And the problem is, YG don't control this story no more. The investigation controls part of it. The witnesses control part of it. Drakeo's family controls part of it. And the public is now putting all the pieces together.
They be getting into it with each other, but when it comes to Drakeo, oh no, it's everybody united. So I'm not finna be separating nothing. Fuck all them niggas. Weenies anyway. There'll be a couple people that's like somebody's, but it ain't too many.
Well, I hope all that shit gets resolved.
Never.
Yeah.
We Know the Truth. Was that a song that you felt it was necessary and the timing was right now?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, yeah, it was necessary for sure, and the timing was for sure right now, because it's like too many people was like, it's just too much going on, like, and you know, I'm like, street all the way, law, live by it, so it's like, there's certain things like you don't even speak on, you know what I'm saying? You don't talk, you know, so that's what took me so long to just say anything, because like, why you talking about that? Like, they don't even, there's certain things like you don't even talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you ain't involved in it or whatever, it's like, you don't even talk about that. So, but it's like, I'm only finna take so much, you know what I'm saying? People saying whatever, family tapping in, like, all this, and it's like, nah, bro, like, nah, I gotta say something.
Did you feel like that's the song where I'm going to address this once and everything is in there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. And it was like, I'm finna say something, you know, but it's the Gentleman's Club. I'm gonna be very respectful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is how we got here. Drakeo the Ruler was not just some random name in the headline. He was one of the most distinct voices coming out of Los Angeles. He had his own name, his own language, and his own cult following. He also had real tension around him. The YG situation was part of a bigger LA rap conversation that was going on before Drakeo was killed. In 2021, Drakeo was fatally stabbed backstage at Once Upon a Time in LA.
The Once Upon a Time in LA concert is going on at the stadium tonight. LA City Fire tells us one person was stabbed and has been taken to the hospital at this point. The person's condition is not clear. Among the acts performing at tonight's concert include Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and The Game.
That was supposed to be a festival. It turned into a crime scene. And from that day forward, people have been asking who was there, who was involved, who saw what, and why nobody has been held responsible in a way that makes the family feel closure. Now you gotta add this new piece. A former security guard for Drakeo allegedly said under oath that he saw YG with a blade during that backstage chaos.
Now, LA Times reported on this. It says a former security for the rapper Drakeo The Ruler testified under oath that he saw rapper YG produce a knife and slash it towards him in the backstage fight in which Drakeo The Ruler was fatally stabbed, according to a recent obtained deposition excerpt. Ulrich Cooper, who was part of Drakeo's security detail at Once Upon a Time in LA, said YG was front and center during the December 18, 2021 brawl and was one of the three men he saw carrying what appeared to be a short, improvised knife. He said YG, whose real name is Keenan Jackson, was wearing a ski mask, but he recognized the rapper Hazel Eyes as he tried to protect Drakeo, whose legal name was Daryl Caldwell Jr. Representatives for YG never responded immediately, but that is it. The excerpt comes from Cooper's March 19, 2025 deposition, which surfaced last month in a court filing by attorneys representing Drakeo's family in a civil suit against the festival organizers and security contractors. It adds more context to the fight after law enforcement's investigating the killing searched the Burbank property and detained YG in the process on Thursday. The California Highway Patrol, with help of the Burbank Police Department and SWAT team, briefly detained YG while the officers searched the property. He was released after the search, and he was not arrested. By the way, this was the same day as the verses.
That does not mean YG killed Drakeo, but it absolutely changes the way people hear YG rapping about this case, because YG's song gives his version of how close he was to the situation. But the security guard's claim paints him in a much more serious light. That is the conflict. And that is why talking about this case on record was a dumbass move. If you saying you heard commotion when you were about to walk out on stage, but a witness is saying something much different under oath, then every word on that song becomes something people are going to pick apart. That is not smart, that is not boss talk, and that definitely is not clear in the air. That is inviting everybody to re-examine your own words while the case is still breathing. This is why rappers have to understand the difference between street talk and legal reality. A song can win in the comment section. It can't stop a search warrant. That is the part that gets missed when people turn street beef into internet content. Drakeo lost his life. YG is now back in the headlines because of that same investigation. And the public is watching a rapper trying to wrap his way around questions that may eventually have to be answered somewhere else. That's why I call it corny. Not because YG is guilty, but because there is nothing gangster about using a dead man's case as a stage prop while the family still don't have closure. And there is nothing gangster about making a record that may age badly if more facts come out. That's where his ego came in. Ego tells a man he has to respond to every rumor. But sometimes the smart move is to let your lawyer talk and let your music stay away from an open case. That's not fear. That's common sense. So I'm going to take y'all out like this. YG has not been charged in Drakeo's death, and we have to make that clear. But being released after questioning don't mean this story is over. The search warrant shows that this investigation is still active. The security guard's claims add a whole nother layer. And YG's own song makes people question why he would even touch on this subject with the case still wide open. That is the part he has to live with now. When you rap about real death, real witnesses, real families, and real investigators, you are not just entertaining people. You are creating more material for people to measure against the facts. And if the facts don't line up with your record, the record can stop sounding like confidence and start sounding like a damn problem. Drakeo the Ruler deserves real answers. His family deserves more than just rumors and rap lines. And whether YG likes it or not, he is now back in a conversation where his own songs may be used against him. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Hey.